By the way, since we are already making this method an async method and the display alert is an async method, we can wait for it to complete, and what we are going to be doing is return away from this method so the next is not executed, because if this is not supported, there's no reason why to continue to do the next thing. In fact, if we perform the next steps, they will return exceptions, so let's just return away from this method. If it is supported, then we are going to be executing the rest of the operations. All we need to do to get the image is call the pick photo async method from, maybe you guessed it, cross media and current. So I'm going to be creating a new variable that is going to be selected image file and is going to be equal to cross media dot current and the pick photo async. Now in this case, notice that you also have the take photo async, or the pick video async, or the take video async. So again, it's just changing the method that you're going to be using according to the functionality of your application. In my case, again, I am going to be calling the pick photo async. And of course, since this is an async method, I will have to await it. Now, you may have noticed that this method allows for us to pass some media options. I highly recommend, since you are going to be uploading this image to the cloud, to make the image a little bit smaller. So to be able to do that, we are going to be creating some media options that is going to be equal to a new pick media options. In my case, since I am picking an image, so I will need a using directive to a different namespace. And in these options, I am simply going to be setting the photo size. And the photo size in this case is going to be medium. By default, it's going to be large, very large. So I am going to be changing this to be medium, so it's a little bit smaller. So when we upload it to the cloud, it is faster. And so this media options is a variable that we will have to pass to the pick photo async method. And now the selected image file is going to be equal to whatever this method is returning, and also sized to a medium photo size. And that's it. We already have that image. By the way, I have a typo here, selected image. Now that we have this image, it's a good practice to evaluate if it is actually not null. So selected image file is a variable that it will have to evaluate against null. If it is equal to null, I will display an alert, letting the user know that we weren't able to get an image, maybe to try again. So I am also going to be calling the display alert method and passing a different message. And that's it. If it is null, then we will just let the user know. Now that we have this, what we could do is go to that image that we have just created, which is the selected image, and assign its source. Its source has to be equal to an image source. And image source has a from stream method that will allow us to get an image directly from a file. Now, to get an image from a file, we will have to pass a stream. The action is going to be calling from the selected image file, the get stream method. So this method is going to get that stream and pass it to the from stream method. And now the selected image that we created inside of the main page.xml file is going to be displaying whatever image we select. So let's go ahead and test this. I am going to be running this on an Android simulator. You could also run this on an iPhone simulator. And once this is running, we of course see that select a picture button. And if we click on it, notice that the image selection tool, notice that an image selector is opened. Now, of course, this is going to look different on both Android and iOS, but notice how I will be able to select any image now. By the way, if you don't see any images, because it happens on an Android emulator, you can always go to the camera application and notice that, of course, you're not going to be seeing anything but some simulated image, but you can start taking pictures from this. So that is exactly what you saw I did. And now we can head back to our application and those images appear in here. So I am going to be selecting any of these images and notice how this works. We get immediately navigated back and we are able to see this image in here. Something very similar will happen in iOS. Only in the case of iOS, we do see a couple of preloaded images, so you can select any of them. But notice how we can now keep working with this because we now have that selected image that we will eventually learn how to upload to the cloud. So great, we have already learned how to select or really just take an image with our Android or iOS applications. Now in the next lecture, we're going to be creating a new Azure service which will allow us to upload images and will eventually return a URL where it is stored so we can use that URL for whatever purpose we want. For example, saving it to an EC table on an Azure mobile app service.